Okay, Kevin, would you like to start, please?
Okay. The economy at the present time within Stratford is basically dependent on three key areas. You've got industry, tourism, which includes sectors like retail, restaurants, lodging, etc., and agriculture. So the current unemployment rate is like 3.2% within the city. And when you look at the future, we need to consider what we need to do to fill those jobs that are basically going wanting at the moment, and to determine what the future jobs need will be. And we also need to be cognizant of what's needed aside from the jobs for people moving into the community, whether it be affordable housing, the family needs like daycare, schools, activity facilities, and healthcare, etc. And then looking to the future, I think we have to have some concern about the auto industry because of the threat of tariffs and what may happen out of the NAFTA agreement, whatever comes out of that. Tourism segment's heavily dependent on the festival. Time to look at other options like recreational tourism, cycling as an example, culinary tourism, country markets. And we need to move forward to expand on a fourth area of the economy, technology. Build on things like self-driving car initiative and provide opportunities for the university students as well as other young individuals to start up companies and to build them up, creating jobs. That's what I see.
All right, thank you. Martin, would you like to go?
Certainly. So I think there's a couple elements here, and first and foremost, and Kevin touched upon this, is diversity. And I think we have learned in Stratford about the importance of diversity for our economy when we look back to the railroad town that we were, and it was a one railroad town. And so I think we've learned, and we went through the automotive phase where we were highly reliant on automotive industry. I think we are developing that diversification that we need in our city to continue to grow. I think there's lots happening in our city, but to go with that, in order for things to happen, I think, and I know this from being in agriculture myself, you have to know when to buy land and when to sell land. We're on the cusp now that we need to have a footprint that as industries in Stratford want to expand, and or if new industries want to come, we need to expand our footprint that we have. The other piece that goes with that is ensuring that we have the employee base for those companies that are coming in town or that are expanding. And there's a couple things that are going on in Stratford that I think are outstanding. The Connect Skills program, where you connect students to educational programs and to industries in the area. We had a very successful program last year where 9 of the graduates were students that came off public work. I can't think of the word right now.
Ontario Works.
Ontario Works, amen. So that's important. TTG is another thing that's going on in town, that what we do is train those individuals that are coming into our community so that they can fit into the industry that we currently have. And that's we just did a great session last year with our Syrian people that moved in.
Thank you. Steve, would you like to?
Sure. I'm actually quite proud of where Stratford stands right now. I think I heard the number 3.2% unemployment. That's excellent, right? I don't want to say we're red hot, but I'm actually pretty proud of where we've come from. And the leaders that we've had recently have done a great job. I'm a bit of a risk taker when it comes to business. If our leaders can go out there and make a good business case, grasp a good opportunity, and take a risk, if there's fruit, we benefit from that. If we lose, we learn, but we tried, right? I'm all for that. I'm very much for that. One thing I can't stand when it comes to the economy is debt, right? I can't stand debt. My household, myself and my wife, we try to run a zero debt household, minus the mortgage, credit cards, nothing, no debt, right? Because every dollar you pay on interest is an opportunity lost, right? For every $50,000 the city pays in interest, that's a lost job. That's an improvement somewhere. That's a new roof in a building. That's something that's tangible, right? But we're not talking about $50,000. We're talking about millions of dollars. And I understand the city of Stratford, like our debt is controllable and it was inflated, but we're working on it. But I'd like to see that bigger portion of our focus. You get rid of that debt, you free up $100,000 for next year. Well, then next time blue collar workers ask for a raise, they don't have to go to picket lines and strike and overthrow it. You know, you can spread the wealth a little bit more, right, to the people. You know, if the school library needs new books, we just freed up $100,000 because we're not paying that interest payment this year. Anyway, so that's, I'd like to see the debt reduction being more of a focus for in the near future.
Martine, would you like to speak or would you like to?
Wait a little.
Okay.
I'm going to go a little later.
Micah, would you like to speak? Yeah, I'm sorry. Kelly, would you like to speak?
Yeah, sure, I'll say something. Not holding my area of expertise, but I think just listening in the last few rounds, especially about this kind of three-tiered idea of tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, where the present, where the world is at and where the world's going to be in 50 years. Why is Stratford a likable place, not only for people to live, retire, or for Syrian refugees to come to? The welcoming nature and the out-of-the-box thinking that's already part of the character of the city, in terms of being open-minded of like, what are those farmlands, what's going to be there, what factory is going to be there, or what film studio is going to be there, or what, you know, it's kind of digitally minded, going along with the theme of what's happening at the University of Waterloo campus. Something happened to get the University of Waterloo to commit to Stratford, and none of that is like industry, agriculture, or tourism. But it is, I think, part of what the world's economy is about. And so I encourage that risk-taking, and I know it's not about like what you're talking about, which is like, let's not spend money, but just an open-minded, continued development of this place in 50 years. What will it look like, and still have all of the things that are at play at the moment existing within that.
Danielle.
Hi. So I'm Danielle. I like what you just said about the character of the city and how welcoming we are. That's really cool. It's nice to hear. I think part of why the university maybe came is our leadership. Our leadership has gone after these opportunities, and there are these opportunities out there that we can, again, diversify, like Martin was talking about. We are diversifying. We're getting into driverless cars. We're getting into natural resources and renewable energy sources. Hydro has just built their battery storage facility out in the Wright Business Park. So we are moving beyond, I think, the tourism, agricultural, manufacturing bit, and we're starting to see those opportunities come to us, which is great. I have a bit of a caution about the balance in terms of expansion of our city's boundaries. I think we can expand to a certain point, but at some point we need to start growing in as well, because then we're taking away from the agricultural land, which makes up the agricultural part of our industry. So there's a bit of a balance that needs to go on there, and there's a balance in terms of debt as well. I don't think any of us like debt. We've worked to pay down the city's debt as much as we can, but then you have so many groups and organizations and items that need to be taken care of at the same time. I can say that the number one complaint I get is the number of potholes we have in the city, and it takes money to be able to redo those roads, which then, you know, comes out of the budget, and how do you balance that? That's one thing that we have to be very careful of. We are below the provincial average in terms of unemployment, and that is great for the moment, but then it also can be a problem, because if we want to attract these industries, we have to have the employee base there as well.
Kelly, would you like to speak? Cody.
Yeah, so I'm Cody Sebben. So I have a bit of a script, so just bear with me here. So I think Stratford needs to think big with the little dollars that we do have. We have accumulated debt in the past years, and there's a lot of room for improved efficiency in city spending. There isn't much room for spending when it comes to superficial items, but we need to be able to spend when there are opportunities for investment that will bring revenue or jobs to our community in the long term. Most importantly, future generations will already be paying for the debt that we have accumulated now. So we have to make sure that any additional debt is only in where absolutely necessary. We need to treat city money as though it were our own, like a responsible household, like Steve clearly has. So I like to make the comparison that each year Christmas comes and some people are caught completely off guard with the expensive. This shouldn't be the case with city money, and it shouldn't be the case with predictable items such as roads and infrastructure. In Stratford, we need to be sure that we have the reserves before we hit crisis with particular items. So, and that's really all I'm going to say for now.
Okay. Zach, would you like to speak?
Sure. So often, these discussions around economy are with a lens looking backwards. So we just want to take a moment to look forward. And if you imagine what the world will look like in 10 years, let's say, or 15 years, things like automation, if things are being disrupted at a faster pace than ever before in our history. So having a futurist vision lens in terms of what does it look like, how do we prepare, what's the demographic that Stratford needs to cater to, what's that economic base. And in my own opinion, and one of the reasons our family moved here was that it was unique. It was a working town, but it had cultural strength, it had a vibrant downtown. Investing in the things that are unique are a good way to keep this destination attractive, have industry that actually wants to move here because their workers want to have a certain quality of life. So investing in quality of life, although it may not be a direct economic driver, it's absolutely the attractant that a lot of people come here, whether they're retiring or for work reasons, setting up their businesses. Also mention that the workforce itself is changing. You're going to see a lot more telework.